So I understand that in real life, a lot of us will spend hours sitting on our butts and scrolling through our phones. It's engaging to us, but when you watch someone do that, certainly in the movies, it tends to be kind of boring. And you know what? We have a new sitting in front of screens movie hitting theaters this week, but this time it's an action thriller. Is that going to be enough to make it not boring? Hey everybody, I'm Sean McBride, the movie guy, and today let's talk about Mercy.
Detective Raven, I'm Judge Maddox, and this is the Mercy Capital Court.
Hold on, just wait a second.
You're before this court today charged with the murder of your wife.
I loved my wife. I didn't hurt her.
If you are innocent, prove it.
In Mercy, Chris Pratt plays a police officer who wakes one day to find himself strapped to a chair and facing off against an artificial intelligence judge who alleges that he killed his wife. And now he has 90 minutes to prove his innocence or he will be executed. That is Rebecca Ferguson playing the AI judge, and you know what, she is a very good actress, but this time she's playing kind of an emotionless computer, so maybe don't expect too much from her. Pratt, on the other hand, is desperate to prove his innocence and figure out who really killed his wife. But how do you do that when you're stuck in a chair? Well, fortunately, the computer gives him access to the city cloud, so he's now able to piece things together by going through surveillance footage, text messages, call logs, and the like. So look, this is a movie that wants to make the case that artificial intelligence can be the boogeyman, because look, it doesn't have our human emotions, it doesn't have our empathy, and so it's not going to understand what it is that drives humans. Okay, I get that, and that is certainly, the overall theme of this movie. But on the other hand, that is kind of undercut because Chris Pratt's character has to solve this crime by going through surveillance footage. And look, that non-stop computer surveillance is very useful. And plus, honestly, it's kind of fun to dig into personal information. The film is trying to have it both ways with regards to modern technology. And as such, it doesn't have a clear point of view that would make this movie interesting. So instead, it tries to be a standard police thriller, but one with cool visual images. Pratt can't leave his chair, so instead he's transported into 3D recreations where he can look at the evidence there. Now there's a lot of whiz-bang graphics flying around here, which is why they're suggesting that you see this movie in 3D, IMAX 3D if you can, right? And look, there are a lot of things flying around, and I guess that's fine, but there wasn't ever anything that made me think, whoa, that looks really cool. So the film isn't nearly as visually interesting as it thinks it should be. And that's a shame, because it hurts this movie, and I generally do like Chris Pratt as an everyday hero. He's very likable, so we never really think that he actually murdered his wife. And the problem is that putting him in a chair for most of this movie makes it feel like he's just playing a video game. And on an emotional, visceral, knee-jerk reaction, it's just hard to care about somebody who won't even get up to defend himself. I know he physically can't, but you see the movie and you go, why isn't he doing more to solve this mystery? And that's just part of the problem with this movie. Screens are boring, no matter how many bells and whistles you add to them. Looking at screens is simply not very cinematic. We want to see our heroes up on our feet, running, fighting, jumping, doing what they believe is right, and that simply doesn't happen here. So the movie ends up being uninvolving and honestly, kind of boring, even in 3D. Okay, short, the movie is short, that's a plus, and then we do get some action towards the end, but boy, so much of this movie is just sitting around waiting for it to start. It's a real miss. Now look, I do still like Chris Pratt and Rebecca Ferguson as actors, but this movie won't be going on their career highlights reel anytime soon. It's a real miss. I give Mercy 1.5 stars out of 4. So this movie was part of the Scream Unseen program. That's AMC's program where you can buy a ticket to a movie. It's an early preview, but you don't know what you're going to see. If you're smart, you probably went online and figured it out. But you go in and you sit down and you're going to see a movie, and it's usually a horror film because Scream Unseen. And this one's more of a thriller. It's not a horror film, but who knew that it was going to be so bad that it might make you want to scream? Maybe that's why they put it in the Scream Unseen thing. Look, that's just me. I think this is a bad movie. I don't think it's worth seeing in the theaters, in 3D, in IMAX, or anything like that. But maybe on home video it will still work. So maybe wait till it's streaming. But hey, that's me. What did you think if you went and saw it? Come back, comment, let me know your thoughts on this. Maybe I'm just being too harsh on it. Maybe I just was in the mood to scream and not scream at a bad movie. Anyway, comment below and be sure to subscribe to my movie channel here so you get all of my reviews as soon as they drop. And of course, check out our podcast. It's called Two Movie Guys. And every week, my friend Joe Fryer and I get together and we chat about the movies. Just subscribe to Two Movie Guys, wherever you get your podcasts. Okay, so I did Mercy because I wanted to get it out. It's the big film out this week. But there is a much better film that is also coming out this week, or it's expanding this week. So you might have a chance to see it. Everybody, we're going to come back and talk about The Testament of Anne Lee. A very good movie. Talk about that next. See you then. Bye.